Hello and good morning viewers, you're watching NewsX. I'm Kriti Mehta. We start with some breaking news updates coming in. Now a UN Watch report has alleged that UN Special Reporter Ben Saul received $150,000 in funding from the Chinese government for his office, raising questions about his claimed independence. The report has now also accused Saul of ideological bias, including anti-Western, anti-Israel and anti-India positions, while alleging selective silence on issues as China's treatment of Uyghurs. Remember, Saul is known for his stance criticizing India for Operation Sindoor, calling out what he termed as human rights issues. Aditya Vadvan is now joining us on this. Aditya, do shed more light on this.
Kriti, if you see, this allegedly, as per some reports, the UN Special Rapporteur has been receiving, funds from the Chinese Communist Party. So clearly, it raises concern as to how this growing influence of the Chinese Communist Party is concerned, considering the fact, it is a well-known fact, that there exists definitely, as per some reports, the Central Intelligence Agency of the United States has been raising concerns about the particular Chinese sleeper cells that have been, planted across the globe, particularly in the United States. So, many Chinese students go and enroll in the American university. So clearly, at this juncture, as far as this the case of UN Special Rapporteur is concerned, it points to the fact that he was serving the agenda of the Chinese Communist Party, which raises concerns, and it needs to be seen now how things unfold in this scenario. Kriti.
Right. Now, Ambassador Sushil K. Singhal is also joining us, former diplomat. Ambassador Singhal, thank you very much for speaking to us on this. Very big breaking news that we have. Ben Saul was actually receiving funding from China, all while he was publishing these anti-India, anti-Israel US statements.
Well, Priti, this is the report which has come by the UN Watch. It's very damning report, and it has come out with all the evidence that how the funding was being made by China and some other countries. And this reporter, he's a professor in an Australian university, particularly this Ben Saul we are talking about. But, what we find is India has always been saying that, these reporters, which are appointed by UN, High Commission for the Human Rights, High Commissioner, they are always biased, that they don't have the information. And now we are getting the evidence confirming what government of India has been saying all along, that they are never, independent. They never, they always carry an agenda. In fact, there is another independent reporter who has been even sanctioned by USA because they found that, that she is carrying out a campaign against US and Israel. So these so-called independent reporters are actually activists who have their own agenda, and the UN system, I think, needs to be reformed. And especially the office of the UN High Commission for Human Rights has to be, I think, taken to the task by all the organization members, because they have been running amok, if I can use that term, and misusing the facility which they have. And I was very surprised by the statement of the High Commissioner, Mr. Volker Turk, who has come out in defense, claiming that the report is an intimidation, without confronting the evidence which has been brought out, especially about this Chinese funding, that $150,000 which has been given to him, to this Mr. Ben Saul. So they don't want to, confront the truth, because I think they know what is happening, and this is a concerted campaign by certain individuals and the countries against countries like India, which need to be condemned and taken to the task. That is very important, because otherwise the credibility of the UN is at stake.
Absolutely. But Ambassador Singhal, What do you think is should be the way forward, given that all these reports that he had put out claiming human rights violations, allegedly so, while not reporting anything from China, the treatment to Uyghurs and some such violations that are happening there? What should be the next course of action to put him to task?
I think what the UN Human Rights Council has to do is to appoint a committee which should go into all these reports and ask for evidence, what he is claiming or what these reporters are claiming, because what they come out is with some half-baked facts. Because one of the report on Palestine against Israel was having mentioned the number of the children who have been much more than actually total population. So these are absurd numbers. So what I think needs to be done is an independent committee should be set up and examine all the reports. And in future also, these reports should not be taken at face value. They should be a peer review by the committee which has been appointed by the UN Human Rights Human Rights Council.
Yeah.
And the powers of the High Commissioner need to be restricted, because I think he has his own agenda. And when he appoints these kind of people who are not really independent, they are activists, so they need to be taken to the task.